Merry Christmas from the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast and your host, Christy Ruffino. We are thankful for our listeners and wish you all a very blessed and joy-filled holiday season.
Welcome, everybody, to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast. This is Christy Ruffino, the host of the show, and I'm very excited to have my new friend, Eliana Gilad, on the show. Did I pronounce that correctly?
You did, my dear. Yeah, and you know what my name means? Eliana Gilad means my higher power answered me, and Gilad means eternal joy in Hebrew.
Well, I know I didn't say it as well as you did.
So when you know, it doesn't matter. When you call me, you're calling to yourself.
Yes. Oh my gosh, that is so great. And what is amazing about this show specifically today is I believe this is a divine episode. And we've had a divine relationship. We've known each other from the outside for probably almost a year, but last week, well, actually, when you're hearing it, it will be 2 weeks prior on a Wednesday. We had the fortune of being in a networking breakout room together online. And it was, and we're going to hear more about this story in more detail, but we connected. I don't think we've ever been in a breakout room before because of course, we're in different parts of the world, but you invited me onto your Facebook group. I know you said you've had amazing response from your community, and I invited you on my podcast. And so all of this has kind of transpired within 7 or 8 days, if you want to count Wednesday through Wednesday. And I will say it would not have happened if neither one of us would have been able to be in a receiving place. And that is the topic.
That's so true. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the topic of today's show. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more. I'm going to read Eliana's bio in a moment. But I just want to impress upon everybody that's listening today to this show to push the distractions away. And of course, right now, while you're listening to this episode, but for the next few weeks, create a new best practice in your life to be able to be in a place of receiving. Because if you aren't, you're going to miss so many great opportunities. And today, Eliana is going to share with us how we can melt the holiday stress. But what I want you to do is to know a little bit about her, from her credentials, who she is as a person, because it's amazing. And again, another reason why this show is, I believe, super divine. So Eliana, she is a healing voice mentor, therapeutic singing pioneer, author, and creator of the Find Your True Voice program. Eliana helps heart-centered professionals and entrepreneurs embody their unique voice and confidently express it from the inside out. Having lived through 3 wars and social unrest in the Middle East, Eliana knows how to thrive through uncertainty. She has developed a healing voice system medically proven over the last 20 years to reduce anxiety, increase focus, and I think most importantly, inner calm. Eliana's home is located a mere 20 minutes from Nazareth, as in Jesus's Nazareth, and she has been her next door neighbor. Oh, wait, he's been her next door neighbor with Mary.
My next door neighbor down the road.
Oh, got it. Sorry, I should have read that first.
No, I added that in for this particular spirit podcast.
Yes. And she is a direct descendant from the prophetess Miriam. She's a member of the Levite tribe on both her mom and dad's side. And she has devoted her life to reviving the feminine healing voice traditions of the ancient Near East. Eliana has trained, over 10,000 spiritually aligned professionals through the Voice of Eden trainings and Therapeutic Singing Certification program. Oh my gosh, that took me forever to get through, but it was all so good and so relevant to why I have you on our show today. So welcome, Eliana.
Thank you so much.
So I want to start with you and your story, just like we start with every episode, because there's a reason why you're so passionate about this. And I believe it goes beyond your ancestral lineage. There's something that adds to that, because I know that's just as important. But what is your story? Like, what is your journey?
It was so interesting listening to you, because I put the prophetess Miriam part. I don't say that to a lot of people. I'm getting goosebumps right now as I'm speaking, but I recently was part of this year's Sound Healing Summit in the Shift Network. Sound Heal, so for that, for that audience, it was appropriate to tell that story. And that was a first for me, because it's kind of like woo-woo, or I didn't think it was so relevant in a business context. And yet, listening to you right now, and because of what you just beautifully shared at the very beginning, just how our whole connection has transpired. I thought, you know what? If it's melt your stress, it's like holiday time. It's like holiday, the Holy Land, my home in Galilee literally is 20 minutes, like beeline to Nazareth. And so I thought, it is my story. Everything in the end is a story. There's our story as a body mind, and then there's, the larger spirit consciousness, God, whatever you want to call it, which is also a story. It's a construct of mind. But I came out of the womb conscious. And well, what do you really want to know? Like, well, I don't mean social media, blah, blah, blah. Really, because we're really talking about bringing holy back into the holidays. What really would you like to know that would be most supportive to the listeners?
Okay, that is a great question. And I will say, I don't know, because specifically, well, let me back up a little bit. A friend of mine is going to a trip in just a few weeks to the Middle East. And when she shared that with me, I got goosebumps. And when you shared that with me last Wednesday, where you live, where you've grown up, and with Christmas right around the corner, it was impressed upon my heart to bring you onto my show. And I got rid of everybody. Like, I kind of cleared this spot, because whether somebody right now is listening identifies with any religion, we cannot change the fact that Christmas, the Christian version of Christmas, or Christmas, is coming up. Now, there's a lot of different things that people practice based on what they believe, but the world is crazy in the next few weeks. That's the bottom line. And we need to look at what is happening in our world, in our society, what we've gone through in the last 2 years, and learn how to put our version of holy back into our lives, period, and to melt our stress. Now, yes, it's the holidays, but we all need to melt our stress. And so what you do with Healing Sound and what you do with your training and coaching, I know this is your area of expertise. So how did you get into this specific?
All right,
we want to connect with you.
That helps. Yeah. Okay. So it comes to even like connecting the dots with this, and my story is that I'm a human being who came in conscious and who has had a connection with her inner voice. inside, beyond the sound, in the silence. Because and I was born here's the fun thing. I was born in Hollywood, LA, under the Hollywood sign, in Cedars of Lebanon Hospital. And I guess with you can tell in my presentations, I guess with the prophecy of my future in the Middle East. This is what I would say, when I was, the 20 plus years living in Israel. And I don't have a word for it, because our essence is beyond the cognitive. So like you say, and I have always been connected to that. Now I grew up in LA and in a family, where the fine family, where everything looks good, be a doctor, lawyer, or, at least marry one. And during the women's movement, and I dared to listen to my voice. And, fast forward, I left the U.S. I was a yuppie on the spiritual path. It was the late 80s during the recession in the U.S. and my job was being made redundant. And they said, this was one of the turning points. They said, well, we're not firing you. We'll still pay, like my severance or whatever, but look for another job. And I'm like, job? At that point, I wanted to throw up. I thought, I cannot do this anymore, because there was something inside. I didn't have words for it. I didn't have the vocal voice. I didn't have cognitive voice. It was like this dual path of my spirit within, and then how I was living in the world. And I looked great. It was kind of Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, like imposter syndrome. I looked great on the outside, kept getting better and better, driving the big BMW, blah, 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 blah. But I felt like shit inside, because I was deading myself to whatever that inner guidance was guiding me that I had no words for. And at that point, I could also see the writing on the wall. I said, in another 20, 30 years, everything's falling apart. And make your changes now. So when that happens, you'll already be on the other side, and you'll be able to then come back and be of service. And I never felt at home. I never felt like the U.S. was my home, even though I, was born and raised here. And here, it's like life is so funny, because as we're speaking, I'm looking out my window here in this, and I am like looking at the Hollywood sign. It's like, spirit is so funny.
Oh, you're back in LA?
I'm back in LA. Yeah, I'm back in LA. Yeah.
Wow.
And it's just, and I never intended to be back in LA, but life is bigger. And so I was more terrified of getting to the end of my life. When I was a little girl, I said, when I'm big, I'm going to have friends all over the world, and I'm going to go visit them. And I didn't grow up with in my family. No one. I mean, it was like so out of left field. And the way that, my inner guidance was really not understood nor appreciated, by my dear parents. I'd get punished by speaking my truth, and, not in pretty ways. And so when there was, fast forward, when there was that recession, I said, I'm going to jump off into the unknown. I actually confided in a colleague of mine. It was like so scary. It took so much. She goes, what do you do? You're doing your geographics. You're running away. Don't you know you take yourself with you wherever you go? Isn't that like why we don't show up for ourselves or speak our truths? It was, so afraid of what other people would think. It's like that happened. And I didn't speak to that friend for months. I kind of like ran away, and I'm like, oh my God, am I running away? But after that, by listening within, the answer eventually came, no, you're not. You're going towards something. And then I had the courage. I called her. I said, Toby, thank you. You know, it really hurt. I really trusted you, and you haven't seen me in months because it hurt so much. But I've really been asking myself in earnest, am I running away? And the answer is no, I'm not. You know, I'm listening to this inner guidance, and I'm going to follow, and I'm going towards something. And towards what? I have no friggin' clue, but I'm acting upon it. Because what got me to be able to act upon that was I thought, if I don't go now, I'm going to have everything from the outside, but I'm going to feel worse, 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 and worse. And having grown up in Hollywood and seeing, you know, you see all the mansions and the people who've got everything, and then they would kill themselves. Because when you get all of that, it's like what everybody wants, and you don't have yourself, like, what's it all worth? And I thought, if I get to the end of my life and I don't know what this thing is that's drawing me, then what was the purpose of my life? And that terrified me more than the terror of jumping off into the unknown and, you know, in all that uncertainty. And now here I'm getting goosebumps right now. You say, oh, you're back in LA? Yeah, because 7 years ago, it was after the first TED Talk. Living in the Middle East, I couldn't be gone for more than 2 weeks. I listened to this inner voice. I have all this time. And for those 20 plus years living, I left here in 91 for France. And then I moved from France to Israel. And I couldn't be gone for more than 2 weeks. And then it was my mom's 84th birthday in about 7 years ago. And I came to, my stepfather was in hospice, and I came to visit. And I also, the historical precedence of this, you read in my bio, the medically proven healing voice system. That was the voice. I'm kind of like jumping around popcorn, but beep, 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 beep. By listening and eventually going to Israel, it wasn't from any religious thing or political idea, no dogma, and anything you hear about Israel or the Holy Land, it's either Bible stories or Uzis, or war. And my experience living there was anything but that. It's like there's a whole other paradigm when you're living true to yourself, when you find your true voice and you follow it. My short life and the little experience I have in this short life, but by following that has taught me that when you dare to follow that voice, especially when it doesn't make sense, especially when you go to your death, because it's that fear of death, and you actually act upon the faith and not the fear. It takes you to good places, and you can never know because you only learn in retrospect. You can't, we usually live right. And that's what causes all the stress. Okay, this condition or that condition or, whatever, if I have enough time, when I have enough money, when this changes or that changes, then and that never comes. Right. Because my life has shown that it's my greatest wounds also that are now providing my greatest gifts. Yep. Because who would have known that 30, I don't know. I haven't actually looked, maybe once I did, but whatever that was, I come to celebrate my mom's 84th birthday and my stepfather in hospice. And little did I know that he would pass 4 days after I arrived on the morning of her birthday. I wanted to be able to use this music. The historical precedence also was in uncertainties, in change. And you see in hieroglyphics and in the ancient sites, in birth and in death. Okay. So
So
I
what a
can't.
beautiful story, honestly.
Well, the last part of it is he passed, and I just left. I thought it was coming for 2 weeks. And then the 2 weeks comes like, I can't go back. But again, it's like all the stress. What, huh? Trying to figure everything out, get the right, because people, when are you going back? I was like, and I didn't know. And then the clarity came. It's like 20, 30 years later. It's time for you to be here. You are on the other side.
Yeah.
And so what do you do? How do you get your answer? How do you get your clarity? How do you get beyond that stress? And maybe after the break, we can dive into that. But, here I am 7 years later.
You're
And
living in Hollywood.
I just in Hollywood, babe, and my life and reality and being true to yourself, it's like so much better than any Hollywood movie could ever be.
Yeah. So gosh, I'm looking at this whole thing, and I know sometimes with our story, we don't see it as clearly as other people do, but I see it clear as day that your journey to find your voice is what has equipped you to help other people find their voice.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah.
You said it beautifully in a nutshell. That's bottom line, is that what makes me tick and get up in the morning is to help others, and now the younger generation to stop, dare stop. This whole approach is called Voices of Eden because it's a living experiment of creating Eden on earth, one authentic voice at a time.
Wow.
So
Wow.
imagine what happens as we gotta dare stop long enough to listen to ourselves. Because if we don't stop, and this is like that's the point of the holidays, stop.
Stop.
You gotta
Yes.
stop and listen. And then when we listen, that's the first step to connect. Then the second step is dare listen to yourself, and I love supporting others to trust what you're hearing. And, when we dare have the courage to do that and act upon what we're hearing, then that provides us with the confidence to give of our gifts. And they're like if it's not obvious to you at this point, right? It's like when, like the ancient sage Hillel goes, if not now, when? Im lo sham matai. Like,
Yes.
what are you waiting for? It's not yesterday. It's not tomorrow. It's now. Stop now.
Okay, that being said, we're going to stop right now because we're going to take a quick break. So hang tight, everybody. Come right back or don't go anywhere because we're going to come right back. And I know we're going to dive deeper into some tangible strategies that you can all use to melt the holiday stress, be more present, maybe follow faith over fear. I don't know where the conversation is going to lead, but I know it's going to lead where it's supposed to. So hang tight. Today's episode is brought to you by the Overcoming Mediocrity Project. Are you ready to share your story in a life-changing book with other success-driven women? Then, what if you could use that book to get speaking gigs, podcast interviews, and possibly a new client or two? Wouldn't that be great? Well, watch out, chicken soup. Here comes Overcoming Mediocrity. Our proven system can transform your struggle story into a powerful signature message and then as one chapter in an Amazon best-selling book. Our process is simple and economical, and it will bring a lot of eyeballs on you, your business, and your big message to the world. We welcome you to apply to join our project. Just visit us at overcomingmediocrity.org and click on the apply button at the top of the page. We'll see you soon. Well, hello and welcome back, everybody. This is Christy and Eliana, and we are going to dive into what I call ninja strategies, and more specifically, tips on how you can melt your holiday stress. So, Eliana, let's go ahead and just dive in. I know you've got some real tangible strategies that you can share with our audience. So, what would be the first one?
Stop. I mean, we start, it's like, all right, now here's the thing. I mean, it just came up even as we were at the commercial break. Okay, so we were saying before, stop. And then, like, you know how you have the to-do list, right? Are you on your to-do list?
I like that.
Are you, and if you are, where are you on that to-do list? Are you at the top of the list? Who's your authority? Your list? Your perfectionism and wanting to get it all done so that you can blah, blah, blah? Pick, answer. And actually, wherever there's a comment section in the community, write down, like, what is your favorite blah, blah, blah on your list.
Yeah.
Okay, here's the first tip that I like to stop. Why is that important? Because when you don't stop, let's just say, like, first of all, if you're real honest with yourself, have you ever gotten your entire to-do list complete?
Nope. There's always something that carries over to the next
Okay.
day, and you never feel you've accomplished anything. It's a never ending
Even
battle.
if you did, all right, the 0.0001, I've never heard of a person, but if there is, let's say there is, let's say you did get your to-do list done. So how are you spending your time when you get it done? What are you doing with it? How are you being with yourself? And if we're really honest, why do we have these to-do lists? To get things done so that we can be at ease.
Or so that we can create another to-do list.
Exactly. And now, do you feel better or do you feel worse? So,
yeah. But that's hard. Right. I will say that's a hard thing to do. I know for me, I'm a doer. I'm a busy bee. If I don't have something to do, I create something to do. And recently, something happened to me in my life that created a lot of empty space. I had a lot of friends move, and a relationship that ended, and all of the spare time that I wasn't working that used to be spent with friends and people that I loved, it came to a screeching halt. And now I had all this free time, and it made me crazy. And but instead of going to make myself busy, I sat with the silence, and I've been sitting with the silence. And what's come out of that is growth and ideas that aren't creating busy work, but ideas that are actually creating results. But I would not have done that if I would have kept busy. And so there is extreme value in doing nothing.
Right. Well, you're like poster child, like that's such a great example. Yeah, that I think that's why we don't stop, because when we stop, it's to avoid ourselves.
Yes.
Because from the get-go, the to-do list is coming from a place of lack. I'm not enough. I got to do, and it's how we're inculcated. It's how we're educated. We grow up, achieve.
Right.
But think about it. If we're achieve, at the beginning is I'm not enough. I have to achieve to be worth something, which is just a lie. It's not true.
Yep. And here's the thing about this. If we don't stop being busy, and if we don't stop doing just so we can be, something is going to stop us. And if we can control that and learn how to master that, when that extra thing comes into our life, that curveball, right, that stops us in our tracks and makes us come to a screeching halt, we're going to be better able to and better equipped to handle it.
Yeah. And the God blessed curveball, right?
Yes.
It's
yes.
like, it brings us to the second tip. So tip number one, stop, and put yourself number one on that list. Because if you don't, especially for female entrepreneurs, I ended up, so I've been here 7 years now. I ended up living with my mom for 4 years. I didn't plan it. It's one of the biggest successes of my life, because it was like coming full circle. And then she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's during that time, and what got me out was a research that I read from the National Institute of Health that shows that 90% of caregivers are middle-aged female professionals, like me, like many of you, who and who take care of a loved one, and we wouldn't dream of taking money, and we're running businesses, and we're in full scope. And here was the kicker, getting goosebumps now. 66% have a heart attack or die before the ones they're caring for. That scared the holy bejesus out of me.
Wow.
I would have been good daughter, and it wasn't that I was staying there to be good daughter. It was, I was being good daughter, but I was doing it for myself. But I was running a business. It was like, talk about stress city. But I got myself out of there, because when I read that, and I had gained a lot of weight, and I was feeling again like exhausted, and I was pushing myself, in my superwoman, Miss Spiritual can do it all mode, but I was not sleeping well at night. I was, nervous. I was listening with half an ear. I was doing my, webinars, whatever we do,
Yeah.
for our businesses online. And it's what got me out. It was really, really hard. And I also, in doing that, then I cannot be my mother's caregiver, but it made me have to break that. And then there was that vacuum as well.
Yes.
And then pain comes up, because then I felt, the guilt and am I a bad daughter? And it's like, but meeting that then helped me see, no, you're not. You can be of service by taking care of yourself first. And gals, this is real. It's like heart disease is an epidemic in the United States. It's like it's the fastest growing, and it really is at epidemic proportions these days amongst middle-aged women. And so the second tip that I want to share with you, it has to do with time, and it came up just while we were on the break as well. It's like, if well, I have a tendency, I get very passionate, and I can go on and on and on and on and on.
Yes, I think we could have a 2-hour interview here.
Yeah,
But it's good stuff, right?
Yeah, and the thing is that what I have learned living 20 plus years in the Middle East, there's a very different relationship to time. In the US, where I was born and raised, we're inculcated and taught to make a plan, and that plan you follow through on. That's how we're productive. That's how we get the things done, right? In the Middle East, we learn that a plan is made as a jumping off point.
Ooh, I like that.
And as life happens,
you keep pivoting and evolving. Yeah.
And when, because in the Middle East, it's so dynamic, and, in Israel, there's like a war every other day, and everybody, it doesn't matter what your political persuasion, what your religion has, everybody across the board,
Yep.
And nobody in their right mind would make a plan and expect that that's going to be the thing. It's just not real. And during uncertain times, it's a real practical skill. And when things are falling apart at the seams, like, how's it working for you? Trying to hold on to the thing and get the thing done? It doesn't work anyway. And Christy, you gave such a great example of, like, the things change, the shit hits the fan, pardon my French. But you sit, it's being in that gap. And there are things that happen with time. It actually, in an Eastern approach to music as well, it's like our modern versus ancient, or East, West, masculine, feminine, they're all dichotomies. But think about in the West, modern cities, modern life, we have these, real high buildings, and it's sequential. One story is one on top of the other, versus a shepherd. Here we are, the shepherd with the flute, with the flock of sheep in the desert, and there are no buildings, and there's no time. And there's one note, 2 notes, maximum 3 notes on that reed. And that when there is a slight movement, your entire, your entire body moves, relaxes, because there's that space. And there's that time. And there's not the rush to the next thing, which actually builds more stress. The shepherd is sitting there. It's like looking out at the space. Does the flock run away? No. And is there a right or wrong? No. It's a choice of focus. And I very intentionally, it's like one of the, in the online world and in our businesses, or when, I don't know whether I said here, I'm just coming from another broadcast, like right before I came on here, so I can't remember whether I said it here or there. I'm a former CBS broadcaster, and I do what I do because of that. That commercial broadcast is based on selling fear.
Yes, that's true.
And I don't care if formulas do A, B, C, D. It's okay with me. I have no problem with it, but that's not who I am. And I'm not going to sell my soul for that, because I know that, anytime I've done, what the right way is, I feel like horrible in the end. Doesn't work anyway. The cost is I might not be so popular, but I'm not looking, it's like, why are you doing what you're doing?
Right. So getting back to the time topic, how can we tangibly implement that and create more space over the next few weeks?
Okay, so going back to tip number 1, put yourself first.
Okay.
And number 2, dare stop. I mean, those are,
Yeah.
those are tip 1. Those are, I don't know, 2 or 1, A and B. And then, then the issue, right? When you stop, you go, oh my God, but I got to do, the time. There's only 2 weeks left. I got to get to the store. I got to do that. Okay, but it's like, hold your horses, because the power is now.
Yeah. Maybe it's just to ditch the plan, right?
Exactly.
Or think of the plan as the starting point.
Be willing to fuck it all up.
Love that.
Which goes back to tip number 1, which brings it back to tip number 1. It's like, there's no right or wrong, but where's your priority? Are you like, what's more important, getting your list done or being at ease? And what's more important? It's like, it's like that, the air mask, on the
airplane.
You're not taking your air first. It's like, how are you gonna meet your family? How are you gonna meet your clients? If you don't take that time? I put on the time. Look at this. We're at
So maybe it's just not having to worry about having the perfect meal and having your presents wrapped perfectly, or making sure you have, everybody the right gift. You can give the best gift to the people that you love just by giving them your time and being wholly present when you're with them.
Ding,
And
ding, ding,
yeah.
ding, 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 ding. Yeah. And what would happen if, imagine what happens when you show up to the meal and you're present and you're relaxed. What happens when
Oh,
you then meet the family Scrooge, but you're connected? And you leave there with confidence and feeling so good about yourself because you didn't go off your rockers looking good and, being missed there for everybody else and then secretly feeling icky and leaving. It's like, what is that holiday? And then not really wanting to go.
I,
But you're actually, because you've shown up for yourself, your well is full. And you're not going to go off your rocker. And isn't that why we're running to get that never-ending to-do list done, hoping that once we're perfect and get that, it's like a lot, there is no perfection. It's
so,
your imperfection that's so beautiful. And that's, like you say, that's the biggest gift, show up as yourself.
so right away, what came to me is holy, like holy with an H and a holy with a W, and then
I
presence.
love it, yes.
Presence, as in presence, as gifts,
I
and
love
presence of
it.
being
Oh,
completely present. So we want to be holy presence.
because that presence
Yes.
is the true gift.
Yes. I love that. All right. So
and the present time is the present.
Yeah.
That's the gift.
Yep.
It's the gift that you give yourself. It's the gift that you offer others. It's the gift that we all receive. And that's the gift that never ends. Because in present moment, where's the problem in the present?
I know. Yeah.
That's Christ's spirit, not any belief or idea. That's the essence.
Yes.
Being who we already are.
Oh boy, lots of great stuff. I know for me personally, I take a lot of time off over the holidays between the Christmas and New Year's days, as well as the week before. And we're all about making cookies and spending time together. I may be crazy busy with work, but that goes on hold. I put the big pause button on, and anything, family will become a priority. Not that it shouldn't all the time, but more so over the holidays, to be able to give and share that holy presence, the holy presence with my grandchildren, which they probably don't recognize or appreciate right now, but they will appreciate.
Oh, you know what? No. Au contraire. I want au contraire, as someone who just had 4 generations together on the last night and last candle of Hanukkah. My older niece is here from back east with her 3 kids, we had from 4 months to 91 years old.
Wow.
And those kids, they're 4 months, 3 years, and 4 years and 7 years. And I'm getting goosebumps right now. I was with them till 1 a.m. this morning, actually, because I like, such heaven. And I've had 2 broadcasts this morning. I didn't care. It's like being. And I woke up with energy. And I'm noticing with them how they don't want to leave because of this presence. And the family members, the Scrooges, actually came. If it were, and because of this, in the past, first of all, they wouldn't have come to my place. I'm just, too woo-woo. It's like not, but they all came. It was set for 6. In the past, even if they would have come, they would have been gone by 7. Politically correct, as families are, like with all family dynamics. People left after between 10:30 and 11 at night.
Wow.
They were here for almost, and the kids, it's like they lit up the room. And the people who needed you got to behave and be perfect. Actually, my mom at one point said that, I go, Mom, this is my home. They're kids. I'm having such fun watching them like run around and jump on one another. How beautiful. And then the next day, when I spoke to my mom, it was so beautiful. I said, it was most beautiful for me that, here, how we grew up with kids are to be seen and not heard. And because of her Alzheimer's, she's like, yeah, it's like I got to connect with my mom in a way that I never got to as a kid. And so did she. How we grew up that way. And I loved when you said don't, and I said, yeah, it's my house. And I loved watching them, and all of us being together, because I never got to do that. And I got to do that through them. And it was and she's like, yeah, it's like she was present at that moment.
Wow.
Go figure.
Wow.
I'll remember that for my entire life.
Yeah, wow, what a special moment with your mom. So before we wind down here, I know because I only have about one more minute here, so I want to make sure we get this out. And I know, Eliana, you have a free gift that you want to share with our audience so they can really kind of take some of your skills and use them. And it is a meditation kit, end your anxiety and deepen your inner calm during the holidays. We will make sure the link is in the show notes below. Do you want to say something really quick about what that is?
I do. It's a meditation that was composed and recorded live in one of the ancient healing sites of Galilee, where this whole approach was practiced at this time of year. It's not your average music. It is medically proven to help you go beyond your monkey mind, connect to your inner calm, help you sleep, help you increase your focus, and have clarity to know what to do next, like in the present moment. And there's some like a short little course, and guides of how you can implement it too. It's really, really powerful. And the cool thing about it is that the results deepen with time. It's not music that you like or don't like, and it's wordless, so it bypasses your intellect. It connects you to the source of your true voice.
Oh, so I know for sure I am going to download that. I have not an Alexa, but a Siri in my room that I have meditation music now playing at night and in the morning. So I'm going to add this to my playlist. This may be the only thing I listen to now, because I know the power of sound healing and how good that is for our bodies.
So like you can use it, like that could be your self-care.
Yes.
Give yourself the opportunity to just stop everything and avail yourself of it. And don't believe a word I say. It's not worth anything. Go try it out.
Go try it. Yep. All right. Well, thanks everybody. And if you heard anything or many things on this show, it is, proven, and we know that we learn more by teaching others. So share, pass it forward, or pay it forward. Anything you learned from Eliana today, share that with your loved ones. And of course, download her meditation track. I also want to ask you, if you like our show, please go to whatever channel that you listen to it, whether it's Spotify, we're on Audible now, iTunes, and review us, like us, subscribe, whatever you need to do to always be informed of whatever show we have coming up. I know I've got an amazing lineup of guests coming up in the next few weeks. Another one that will be next Wednesday that is focused on the holidays. We have some goal setting shows, and we're going to start January with a bang with some really incredible guests. So I want to thank everybody for listening, and especially Eliana, thank you for spending time with you today. I know it's been a busy day, but this I feel will really help a lot of people.
Thank you so much for your service and helping so many people through your beauty and your authenticity.
Yes, thank you so much. All right. Goodbye, everybody, and we will see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to the Overcoming Mediocrity podcast, where we believe that everyone can have the business and life of their dreams once they've learned the art of mastering their story. Mastering our stories is the key to everything we want in life. Our stories can either hold us back or they can propel us to new heights. We can choose. You can choose. Choose to overcome mediocrity with us. Let's achieve greatness together. To learn more, visit www.overcomingmediocrity.org. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review this podcast.